yeah, the stakes were high. Like it was, a pressure was on. And just like you said, it's just this childhood memory 40 years later. And then you're up there, and like people are just going up there and seeing the house every 20 minutes. Hi, I'm James Pierce Connelly. A lot of people call me JP Connelly, and I am here at my favorite hotel in Astoria, Oregon, the Cannery Pier Hotel and Spa. And today, David Reed is moderating this panel of me, Stephanie Hines, my set decorator for the renovation of the Goonies House, and Jack Johnson, the original concept illustrator for the Goonies movie.
I love Easter eggs. Were there original details that were kind of tucked away that surprised even you guys?
Oh, in the movie themselves, or that we put in?
That you put in, both, yeah.
Oh, well, we did put in quite a few of our own Easter eggs, actually. We just couldn't resist. In the process of designing this, I learned from a lot of the original creators that they all just kind of had fun with the house. And so after a certain point of just kind of letting go of the wheel and just letting the design and the construction happen, we had fun with the house. So we put our own Easter eggs in throughout the interior.
So in Mrs. Walsh's bedroom, there's the artwork that's on the back wall.
Yeah.
And our graphic designer, she put a little Easter egg in there where she hid the kids in that portrait. Because, you know, it's kind of blurry in the movie. You can't really see what it is. So we kind of just did our own interpretation of that. And we're like, oh, it'd be cool to put the little kids in here, like hidden, and yeah, little things like that.
There are lots of pictures throughout the house of family of the Walshes and stuff. And so we may or may not have put in some other photos.
We're 80s kids.
That's very good. So if you could leave a hidden note somewhere in the house, and maybe you already did, for a designer to find 40 years from now, what would it say?
Oh, for a designer to find 40 years from now?
Yeah, 40
what
years
would
from
it say? It would say, be fearless and make it cohesive. Those are the things that I learned from redoing the Goonies House. I learned from Rick Carter that Michael Riva was fearless, and I said, that's what I'm going to learn from this project. And Linda DeSena told me, just make it cohesive.
How about production designers never die?
But actually, you cannot kill a production designer. They never die. That's
They've
way
been
better.
through a lot.
Were there any original illustrations or design motifs that you could hold up today that would actually be comparable to the house as it is now? I mean, you showed us a design of the house. Is that pretty much how it turned out?
And you were just there,
Yes, but I was only involved in an exterior. Obviously, I was here 10 years ago and was here 5 years ago, and I'm glad that this whole thing happened, though. I think this is an amazing. I mean, who would think to do that? To take a home from a movie and totally redo it back to what it looked like in the movie. It was amazing.
We do game shows, The Voice, Wheel of Fortune, cooking shows, things like that.
A lot more modern stuff.
Modern stuff, glossy stuff, forward-thinking stuff. And you're up there and you're like, wow, people are telling you their childhood memories of these stories. And they're very emotional and passionate. And so, yeah, not just do we get it photo accurate, is it historically perfect? I am a research production designer, there's no doubt about it, like Jack said. I dive deep and big into it to see that for an emotional connection to a piece. And then there's that layer of all the stories, Yeah, it's hard.
Well, it sounds like your work has been trying, but I trust successful to this point. We're not done yet, but we're getting there.
You saw it today?
I saw it.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, good. So what's interesting to me is that you look at a movie, and by the time you look at the finished movie with the cuts and the edits and everything, there's a lot of it. You're right, a lot of that house that's not shown, and so you had to sort of extrapolate, right? You had to say, okay, if this in this room that we can see, this is what would have been in that room. Did you go that far?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and that was the best part. So
really?
basically, we copied the movie and studied the original creators, Jack, Linda, Rick Carter. We met Michael Riva's son. We learned about that. We got those shots. But then there are the walls that you don't see in the movie that we still had to fill. And we had to learn about the Walshes from the script and the movie to see who they are. and why they had those things in those shots. Why Mikey's room had some of those elements in it and a telescope to help fill in the rest of the gaps of the room, so that when you do see this house in its entirety and you do walk through, we've filled in those corners, we've told those other stories. Jack just saw today, went into Mrs. Walsh's bedroom that you only see a certain angle of, and you get to see those elements.
I just think that watching this movie as a child and growing up, and this just being like something that was on repeat constantly on like the Disney Channel or whatever, then when it came to be that, oh, we got this project and we're gonna do it, I was just like, yeah, I gotta do that. I can't not be a part of this. This is like a different project than what we're used to and what we usually do, so it's a bigger challenge, and it definitely was probably one of the hardest jobs I've ever had. As far as matching someone else's set decoration is a lot harder than just like, okay, here's a house and we're gonna fill it with furniture. It's like, no, we have to fill it exactly how they had it in the movie, and trying to find these things that are no longer around, 40 years ago. Furniture pieces, whatever, that maybe we have to get made or recreate or, try to find on eBay.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So what would your advice be for those design teams? What would you tell them? What did you learn here that if you had to do this all over again, if you were to advise them, just start with this?
Can we just do the project? Do they
Yeah.
have
We're available. There shouldn't be anybody else doing this. We're still working right now. What would you say? What would you say to them? I would say, yeah, research. Learn from those who created it. Talk to them and understand who they are and why they made those choices. That really helped me.
I was just gonna say, don't give up on those eBay
Right.
auctions.
Excellent. Okay. This is actually the last question for you. It's for the whole panel. Now that the Goonies House is back in the world, how do you help people experience it, and what do you want them to feel when they walk in there?
Oh, I want them to experience it. I want them to experience it alone, and I want them to bring their phones in for some of the iconic shots. But I do want them to go in quietly without much watch. I do think that it's such a personal experience, and it's like what you said, bringing back a lot of childhood memories. I think it's really important to have that when you go through, and to get the shot. You gotta get the shot.
I just want them to feel like they're like a character in the movie, and they're walking through those scenes as they're, as they would have in the film.
Having nothing to do with it.
But you just were there. You were just there.
You were there. You could tell us what you felt.
What I would like to see is some of these people relating to their own childhood stand there and cry.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Here's some volunteers who are crying. Very good. So, first of all, panel, thank you very much for being here. Thank you for the work that you've done, starting 40 years ago and today. I want to remind you that house is in a residential neighborhood, so we're all going to be respectful of the neighbors there. There are no bad guys in this story, but there's a lot of all of us kind of going up there and taking pictures of the house and that type of thing. So we will get to experience it. Let's just do it in a way that's respectful to the neighbors in the neighborhood. This is a fantastic town. I hope you get a chance to explore it. How about another round of applause for our panel here?